Hello everybody, welcome to Sonic Talk episode 684. We had a sort of brief, well I suppose we actually did do 2 streams last week, so we didn't do the normal Sonic Talk Wednesday, but this is the Sonic Talk show, which is all to do with music technology, synthesizers, drum machines, production, software, DAWs, distribution, streaming, anything you can think of that's kind of combines technology and electronics and audio in any kind of way, shape or form. We're fresh back from Superbooth, and so this is the sort of post-Superbooth. For those of you who don't know, Superbooth is one of the most fun shows on the trade show circuit. Obviously, we haven't been for ages. We skipped a year last year. We did a virtual version. We went and they moved it to September for this one. And we've been to Berlin and it was great. And before I say anything else, I want to say a massive, massive thank you to Andreas Herschneiders, Tim Staub, all of the team over there, Adam, just great. I really, really felt welcome and helped. And we were able to do our job. And I hope you enjoyed all of the stuff. There'll be links to that all over the place. And also thanks to our team, Ed Butterworth, Rob Hicks, Andy Mack, and myself, and Gaz, of course, all the people that kind of were on the ground making videos, because we had to work hard. It doesn't get any easier because it's quieter. In fact, it was a little harder because everything was spread out, so it was further to walk, but really good fun. Anyway, all the thanks over. While I remember, I just want to say, if you're interested in supporting us, we're running our Patreon. We've got a few things up there from Superbooth that you can't see anywhere else. I think I did a thing on the a little sounds demo of the Hydrosynth Deluxe, and there's a few other bits and bobs there, but also there will be more stuff forthcoming, so if you feel like going over and joining us, you can just go to patreon.com/Sonicstate, and there it will be. So I do appreciate if you want to support us. That's great. And by the way, if you join the second tier and if you do it before the end of the show, the database gets pulled in from a live feed, so your name will appear at the end credits, because that's one of the perks of the top tier of Patreon. So that happened last week. I said, oh, there's a new one came in, and then I saw actually it showed up in the end credits. I thought, oh, that's nice. So you can do that if you like. Anyway, I want to say thank you to our guests, which we will join in a minute. Before I forget though, it's all the stuff, like the usual stuff, like you can find all of our audio podcast. The audio version of this podcast is available everywhere you can get podcasts, iTunes, Alexa, Google, all of that kind of stuff. So just go it, fill your boots, it's all there. And also want to say thank you very much to all the people on YouTube who are watching the live stream, all the people in the IRC, and also Discord and Twitch and Facebook Live. That's where we are every week at 4 p.m. UK. So if you like what you see, and you might not be sick of the 60 odd plus synthesizer videos you've had in the past 5 days, ring the bell and get notifications. It'll be a while since we get till we do another dump of such a massive content of stuff, but there's plenty for you to look at. I don't know how many hours it is. It's a lot. Anyway, let's say hello to our guests. We'll start over with Mr. Yoad Nevo, who's there in Nevo Sound. Yoad Nevo, obviously mix engineer, waves developer, a man of many talents. We know you managed to well, you didn't defy the lurgy, but you've been through. You're vaxxed, and you've also had it. So I'm glad to see you're well. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. I'm good. It's been a little bit challenging, but I'm over it now, and it's all good.
I'm glad. I am really glad, because it was, I know for a lot of people it's rough. I mean, I really thought that we were going to maybe, well, I don't know, get it, because we've been all over the place, you know, we've been to, but so far so good, you know. I felt pretty safe. I don't really
recommend getting it if you can avoid it.
Yeah,
it's not very nice.
Well, it's hard because you get really fuddled with this kind of stuff as well. It's hard. So did you have to basically just take complete time out, or were you able to work?
Well, I had Tia, I had my daughter with us. The 3 of us had it, and she was after a couple of days she was fine, luckily. But then it meant that she has to stay here in isolation for another 9 days. And that was a bit challenging, but for her and for me. But we got over it.
Good. Well, I'm glad to see you are well, and that's all good. Sorry, I'm just adjusting my. The last live stream I did was everything was in the cloud, which is the other thing I was really chuffed about, because you've seen I've been kind of battling with this technology, trying to get it to work, and it absolutely did work. So I'm very pleased, and we've actually learnt a lot of things. that means that we can now do it. We'll be able to do it even better next time we get the opportunity. Lovely to see you, Yoad. I keep forgetting, actually, Yoad, you know, both Yoad and Gaz and myself have got tracks on the Sonic album. You should definitely check that out. If you go to bandcamp.com, I'll put the link in the show notes. But we've got an album, Sonic 001, Volume 001. Great tracks from everybody, still available. Help fill your boots. We've also got Mr. Gaz Williams, who's also fresh from Berlin, or perhaps not so fresh. You didn't get COVID, but you got a nasty cold.
Oh yeah, yes. So I might be a bit snotty today. Apologise for that. But yeah, wow. I mean, what an amazing event it was, wasn't it? I mean, I only caught 2 days, the Friday and Saturday, and that's just not enough. I mean, it's such an incredible show, as we will go into, I'm sure, in a bit. But one thing has to be said: there was a great energy and a great positive vibe there. It was
People weren't moaning about the fact that, because there weren't very many people there, but they couldn't be. They weren't allowed to have more than 500 people on site, I think, or maybe 1,000. And there definitely weren't that. And it rained, and, you know, so those things did affect things. But everybody was like, I don't care. I'm just glad they've done it. I'm pleased to be here. This is really important that it happened, you know. So, and
there was like an enormous amount of exhibitors, though. I think it was somewhere 138, I think I heard, or certainly over 130. So, yeah. Great turnout from the manufacturers, although, and I'm sure this will be something that we will talk about, everybody had the same story to tell, didn't they, regarding the
when's it going to be available? I don't know. Depends when we can get the component. Although there were one or two who said, well, I saw this coming, so I ordered enough for the next 2 years. And you go, well, that's great. That's the other thing that was very clear is most of the manufacturers had all said, or many of them said, we've had the best year ever, you know, the last 12 months. So, because people are with people who have to kind of isolate, you know, they turn inwards and go, well, I'm gonna explore more of my hobbies. I'm gonna buy that thing so I can, you know.
It was that thing about, you know, saving for a rainy day. Well, here was like an 18-month rainy day, so that was the time to actually buy things.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. But I mean, it's very freeform. I haven't well, I've got a set of videos, and I'm just going to start with a couple of things just to sort of get the ball rolling, because these are things that you may not have seen. And the first one, I'm going to keep our pre-roll ads, because I want to say thank you very much to our sponsors, who were Bitwig and Baby Audio, and also Studio Logic. You will probably have seen their trailers and their bumpers. So thank you to them for their support, and everybody who supported us by, you know, the various different bundles and things that we do. We try not to make it too crassly commercial, but these things cost a lot of money, and we're glad that we were able to make it happen. So we'll start here. This is a fascinating thing. This is now the man with the machine, basically, is the name of this this product, and this is he's a quite a well-respected modular performer.
So thanks for showing up at the booth. Today I show
Matthias
you
Kettner.
A module which is called Droid.
This is all part of the. I'm going to fast forward it because this is all good. But the thing that's most interesting,
they kept charge up. Yeah, they charge up.
It's a bank of 4 faders, and they are motorized faders. And the thing that he's done that's really, really clever.
The system is quite low.
He's figured out how to power them properly, which is quite challenging. But also, because they're motorized, he's made them so they have sort of auto detents. So you can have a detent in the middle to use it like a patch, like a pitch wheel. You can have snaps, so you can have 12 steps for semitones or 5 steps for notes, and that's all done in the kind of in the programming of the fader. It's really, really clever, and each layer, each descriptive layer of the faders can do lots of different things, and they all. You have to watch the whole video, really. I'm not going to play it all because it is quite long. I mean, no, Andy was really impressed with this. Let me see if I can find. Let's find an example that makes it really, because
so this is just an example. So now let's have a second track. You know, I've set up these as mute buttons, and now I have a second track, and I can change the note for that track.
You can see they kind of stop, and there's nothing fancy about them. It's just about the way they're controlled electronically.
Track 2, change the notes. Track 1.
Now, and it's all controlled by a sort of a text file and JSON. Now, I'm going to come to you, Yoad, first, because you've got a whole bunch of moving. Have you got a moving fader system there? I can't remember if it's moving fader or not.
I have, but I haven't used it for ages. I don't think that the computer that controls it even even works. But yeah, it's all. I mean, not this side, but I have 48 or 36 motorized, and the rest. Oh, that should be anyway, because they're not all mounted. And funnily enough, I just got this the other day. The fader bank, fader port
the
2.
PreSonus, yeah.
And this is so convenient, just having it right here.
That's so funny. You've got an actual 48 channel moving fader system.
Yeah, but the way I use the desk is quite in like a modular way. So I use the mic preamps, and then I sometimes use the like 48 channels for summing. But as much as I like the sound of summing, it's not suitable for every type of music.
Right.
It's good for stuff with a lot of organic instruments, acoustic guitars, drums, live drums, things like that. Vocals sound great on it, and everything sounds a little bit wider and more round and stuff. But sometimes you want that like really clean and crisp and immediate, sort of impact with all the transients. So
what do you do then? Do you just go directly into the D2As? I mean, what if you want that?
If then I just do it in the box. So usually I would mix, have all the plugins obviously in the box, because I want to be able to recall a session quickly. I don't want to be fiddling with knobs. There's no Total Recall installed on this desk. And I really don't need it, and I certainly don't do my rides on the desk channels, because I haven't done it for years, because it's just easier to do it with one fader, where you can record the automation and then edit it, or if you move or change the arrangement, it moves with the automation moves with the regions and stuff like that. So for me, those days of doing it all on the desk are long gone. And
I suppose what I was getting at is just the fact that you've got those motorized faders. Something like this that could actually turn, the faders that are closest to your right hand, for instance. You could just go, well, I want each of these to have 16 of them to have a semitone sort of notch like this thing has, so you could just use it as a step sequencer really quickly, or for instance, just really I just think it's an ingenious bit of
absolutely
design.
It's a really cool instrument, maybe I should say, and I would love to have it. It's too complicated. These are not. It actually makes more sense to get like a Tascam, those 24. I don't remember what it's called, and take it apart, because it has a more modern sort of electronics and ways of interfacing with the faders, but it's very, very highly customized system. You have to bypass the audio that goes through the faders. It's a whole big thing, and I don't see I'm happy with one. For now, the one downside that I have with using one fader is that in Logic you can select multiple channels and then move the faders together, which is something I do a lot with Sands and with volume and pan. Not so much pan, but mainly volume. And this one, because it sends data to the selected track, even though the other ones are selected, the one that it's actually on is the only one that's going to move. So if you touch any of, let's say you selected 3 faders, and you move any one of them with a mouse, they will move. But when you use the fader, only the one that's you actually on will move. So that's a little bit.
I'm fairly confident that a man with your resources will no doubt get to work on the environment in Logic and figure out a way to make that work, right?
Yeah, if I had the time, maybe, but for now, it's still really convenient to have it.
Just a bit more on this this fader module. They come in banks of 4. They aren't cheap, but there's some really interesting technology in there, because they're €400, so it's about €100 a fader. Wow. because it has
So
to be
it's-
powered from the Eurorack case, it's got this really clever capacitive kind of power supply that charges itself up over 5 or 6 seconds and then is ready to use. And he said it's never run out, but he had to solve all those problems. It's a really, I mean, in terms of performance, it's kind of fascinating. I must admit, I was kind of like, ooh, yeah, can think of all sorts of ways you could use that. But yeah, it's expensive. You can do up to 64 modules, by the way, so you can have a lot of faders.
Wow.
Nice.
16
Something
modules, so
that you
64
can't tell
faders.
Something that you can't tell from the video is just how strong the kind of haptic feedback is that you get from the faders. So I had a little go of it, and it's really kind of quite notched. So I'm assuming that is scalable as well. It absolutely is, because you can make it so it's totally fluid. But it's like, you know, so you really feel each of the sort of steps of it. So as you mentioned, for the, you know, for step sequencing or things where you want that kind of precision, or to be
Really
able to
clever.
in steps. Yeah, very clever. Yeah.
I can sense that maybe someone's going to grab that and go, maybe I can write some macros that would work with something like a Behringer X Touch, or you know, anything which has got motorized faders that allows you to kind of then go, well, actually, let's have the faders do these things. I mean, I don't know whether you get that level of control, whether it can be controlled via MIDI. I mean, I guess if it can be controlled by JSON, which is essentially text files that you have to load it, then I'm sure MIDI would be able to do it as well. But yeah, I think it's quite a paradigm shift. Brilliant, a really brilliant idea, isn't it?
Yeah.
Let me see if I can find it. I'm just going to open the window because I could use my other shot and we can all be in it. Here we go. This is the guy. That's my shot, I think, isn't it? Yeah. Improvised electric. He doesn't have anything. Demand the machine. He has nothing about any of it. I don't know where you get it. I have no idea, because he doesn't mention it on his website at all. It's all about his music. But good for him. I mean, he's a really, really smart bloke. I've never come across him before, and all his musical examples were just really good. So he's obviously kind of just a very accomplished musician, but you know, with a very inquisitive mind. Very worth checking out. That's my first video. I don't know if anybody else has got any other. Well, actually, what I'm going to do, because it's been a while, I'm just going to drop in a little message from our friends over at, now I don't know which button, I've forgotten which button does which. Oh, there we go. Isotope
is a one-of-a-kind membership for producers ready to take their tracks to the next level. Once you join, you'll gain access to powerhouse Isotope plugins and a curated selection of tools from our partners, such as Melodyne from Celemony. Plus, as long as you're a member, you'll get every future update to the Isotope plugins in your membership for no extra cost. We'll also regularly serve you new curated content like exclusive inspiration-sparking sample packs and preset packs, and industry-leading training ranging from our own tutorials to vocal production lessons from the world-renowned Berklee Online, taught by Grammy-winning producer and engineer Prince Charles Alexander. With new content being added every month full of valuable production techniques, tips and tricks, and solutions to common production problems, becoming a member is an investment in your career that grows as you and your career do. For more information on Isotope Producers Club, head to isotope.com.
And if you want to find out more, we've got a special landing page. If you go to isotope.com/Sonic Talk, that'll get you to the special welcome page, which will give you details on how to get a free month. You have to sign up and do all of that stuff, but you can obviously cancel after you've had a month just to see how you go. So we thank them very much for their support. So anybody else got anything? That was my first look. I don't know. I'll come to you, Yoad. I know you've been busy, so maybe you didn't get a chance to see everything, but it's worth a try, right? And I'll see if I can load the video up in time.
Yeah, when you to be honest, I couldn't follow it in real time because I was really busy. Also making up for backlog of mixes and stuff that accumulated when I wasn't well. But what I did see, so yesterday I was looking at the links, and then I said, "Oh my God, I have to kind of go through all that." Which I will in the next few days, but I certainly didn't have time to do it for the show. But what I did come across, which was really interesting, is the Eagan matrix.
Okay, yeah. For Eurorack.
For Eurorack, and and as you know, I just love this synth engine. I have it here. I don't know, the mini.
You've got that, right?
Mini. Okay. Such an amazing synth, and from what I understand, you have 8 macros which you can program to, which you can assign to do different stuff in the engine itself. The engine itself, with the Continuum Mini, and even with the Continuum, there are no controllers, there are no knobs. There's a program change and octave switch. So that's the only thing you can change. And if you want to change anything like release time or anything, or the delay amount or something like that, you have to go in the editor. And I have to say that the editor is very, very difficult to master.
Yeah, it's
you
quite.
really have to learn. It's not like an additive, like a subtractive or additive or wavetable or anything like that. It's a very, very kind of synthesis language that you really have to learn and master before you can do anything with it. But once you do, it's such a powerful engine that doesn't sound like anything else.
No.
And I just love it. I started watching some of they have some very, very interesting YouTube. It's like a course. It's really like a university course because a lot of it is physics. It's
Right.
the viscosity and and things like that of the bouncing spring and all that that you have to basically to apply in order to design the sound. It's very, very interesting, and I recommend everyone who is interested in synths and stuff to get into that. And now I don't know what this new Eurorack unit costs.
It was about €800. Is that right, Gaz? Because that's one of the ones I didn't. Because Gaz shot that with. Yeah. Let me just quickly bring the video up because I can then. So if I do that and then do this, we'll get here. So that's it's quite a long video, but that's it. It's quite large.
It's at 0, and we're all the way at the top.
And those are the macros, and it shows macro control, which is cool. I think he did something audio examples at the end.
You have
Didn't he?
here a micro C. I don't know. This is a bagpipe that you can play.
The bagpipe.
Now you may be thinking that's not very synthy, but the point is, it's so. I think this is going because this has been in develop. You know, the Eagan matrix has been around for a long time, but now it's in the Osmose. It's obviously in the fingerboards, the continuums. It's also now, and I don't know whether there's going to be a software component to it, but it is a really, really impressive synthesis engine, and it's quite new. And as people are looking for more stuff, I think there's going to be a lot more of it. You shot it, Gaz. I mean, you probably heard more sound examples than we did, and I didn't edit the video, so I'm afraid I haven't had a chance. I'm like you, Yoad. I didn't get a chance to watch all the videos either. I've been doing the other stuff, but yeah.
Well, something that's quite interesting is that Edmund Eagan, he's a musician first and foremost, and he composed, I think, very successfully for Canadian television, winning a Gemini Award in 1992. So that's, I guess, equivalent to a
Emmy or something like that. Or?
Yeah. So he does have this background as a musician and as a sound designer. And I think that's quite an important element because there's a musicality to the sound of that synth that is really quite special. And this is why it lends itself so well to the Osmose. So I'm assuming we're going to talk about the Osmose in detail in a bit. Is that right?
Yeah, well, we will certainly mention that as well because obviously the Osmose, while not, it's just we just got an update basically, but we shot a video on that and lots of people are very excited about it. But that's got the Eagan matrix inside it as well, and you've got macros as well as the XYZ and secondary aftertouch and pressure, so it's very suited to that performative surface.
Right. So, but now with it being in a module and then it being essentially open up to any form of input, like that little, those motorized faders as an example, it's a platform of incredible versatility. I think it's one of the main things with the Eagan matrix is that, all the envelopes are essentially generated by these kind of inputs. So when you play the Harken, all the
dynamics are manually. Yeah, they're manual rather than they're not automated. Yes, they're not handled. Yes,
and that lends itself to being very just incredibly responsive to the smallest nuance. So, hence the Harken Continuum and the Osmose being ideal platforms for it. But I'm most curious really to see how this is going to be used and who will be using it and what will they be connecting it to. But I think as well, it should give people who are maybe thinking of buying a Continuum or an Osmose a little bit more confidence as that platform becomes like a bigger platform, I suppose. There are roughly around 300 presets available for the Eagan Matrix. I think when you get that module, there'll be lots and lots of presets. When you do see the editor, it is a little bit like
that's not very friendly.
However, I'm not normally a fan of presets, but certainly in using the Osmose and exploring these sounds is a totally joyous thing to do.
The thing is, they transition from the start point and the end point, depending on how you express that sound. It radically changes the sound characteristics. So somewhere in between, hitting it hard or playing it slowly or sliding or one of the other, you get somewhere that there's nothing like what you started with.
I think both the Continuum and Osmose are both fabulous for this, that you can find that and then you can kind of hold it and manipulate that sweet spot, so you find the biting point where you want, and then you can then really perform with it. And it's lovely on the Osmose just being able to like the Osmose is amazing. You can just lay your finger as gently as you can.
Should I maybe play a little bit of Osmose now, just so that people get an idea of the context? Because this again is using the Eagan Matrix is built in to the actual hardware, so bear that in mind. So you get this very detailed control. So let me just see, what video number is that? That's 3. Well, here we are, Chris, in the hut. Right, I'm going to fast forward it to where he starts to play.
We didn't have a screen, did we? Yes.
And some people who did. But all directly when only pressing like 1 millimeter.
Teeny tiny bit of movement,
Play that continuously, just like you would be able to do when you would be singing or, let's say, playing a violin. Then you have a second vertical pressure dimension, which is called the aftertouch, or the high quality aftertouch, due to the fact that it's got so much key travel as well as resolution going on. And as you can already hear, I'm also able to bend the keys to the left, to the right, to play vibrato.
That's a very basic example, but it's I had a little play with it, and I was there filming with Chris, and then outside there was a massive queue of people who would, because what they were doing, obviously it's not in production yet and it's been slowed down through just a world situation, but it is on track, and that was pretty damn close to the final production. And everybody who seemed to have backed it and had pre-ordered, because it's still a bunch of money. It's €18.99, but I honestly think that is a bargain for what you're getting there. I think they can charge way more than that. Because it is one of those things that I think you can say it's a game changer, because it kind of is. So I just think that's something to really bear in mind if you're looking for that kind of level of control. And I suppose it's particularly if they get their act together and can get them produced. Particularly as there's all these kind of Roly orphans. Although they have, to be fair, Roly did say they were going to continue to support the keyboards, and that's fine. Hopefully they do. But for those people who perhaps are thinking, well, I won't buy one because I could buy something else, it's honestly, it is quite game changing. And I hate to use that sort of word, but that was another.
It 100% is. I said it on the last live stream that we did, and I'll say it again. It's the best musical technology instrument I have ever experienced in my life.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough.
I would just add that bear in mind that there's a learning curve to it. So you can just flick through the presets and say, wow, that sounds great. But actually, in order to play and exploit its expressivity, you need to. It's an instrument that you have to learn how to play. It happens to be on an XYZ kind of a keyboard sort of layout. In the case of the Continuum Mini or the Continuum. But it's an instrument that you just have. It's almost like the difference between playing a guitar and a lap steel. It's a different beast.
I would agree. I mean, I think that probably does apply to the fingerboards, the Continuums, but in terms of the keyboard, it's very familiar, and it's not like the Roly stuff was quite different because you're doing a lot of that across a number of fingers. The thing with the Osmose is they've stopped that necessity for having to play it with moving your fingers, and it's much more immediately familiar, I think would be fair to say, with the Osmose at least. But the actual
portamento will still be more difficult than with the Roly or the Continuum.
Yes,
but you can portamento with you can kind of control the speed of the portamento with the pressure axis, and that's really interesting. So you can, if you do this slow pressure, you can make a really slow portamento, or if you play fast, then it'll be very fast portamento. Yeah. So when you play around with some sounds that really use portamento in that way, and you want to kind of do like a theremin-y kind of a very legato way of playing, you can.
You just don't have. You're not sliding. It's a different. So it's. But yeah, it's
different. You're using the pressure, the speed of your. Yeah. Of your playing.
Anyway,
again, something to learn.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. We shouldn't develop, because we did talk about that quite a lot on the live stream as well. But I mean, unsurprisingly, because it was so cool. Okay, anybody got anything else that they want? Gaz, you haven't. I mean, Osmose, that was a sort of joint thing. Have you got anything that I might have in my list? That's a really difficult question because you don't know what's in my list.
Well, I mean, something I thought was really interesting because it was just a surprise was the PWM Malevolent synth.
Yes. Okay. Let me just get a bit of that going on, just because.
Cool.
Right. Is that it? Oh yeah. Well, that's fair enough. Yeah. I think we can. Paul Whittington music. So, what are we looking at here, Paul?
So this is called the Malevolent. It's our first offering. It's a analog synth modular from here to here. Some call it semi-modular, but I don't find that term that useful. It is all on one PCB, but we've got separate modules here, so it is a proper modular synth. It's, of course, quite aggressive.
Really interesting filter. It's a Salon key filter.
And we have kept the burbles, so it will kind of go and do naughty things.
I don't know if you're getting that. All right, so this is it's a UK manufacturer, Paul Whittington music, hence PWM. I went back. I didn't shoot anything, but I had a bit of downtime, and I went back and I played with it for a while, and I have to say it was very rewarding, and he's done some really interesting things with performance stuff. They're going, the list price I think is $499, but he thinks the street price may well be lower than that, which is very, very competitive. And so yeah, did you get to play with it as well, Gaz? I mean, it's a pretty nice thing, isn't it?
Yeah, and I just thought in many ways it was everything a mono synth should be in 2021 in terms of the connectivity, and and you can power it with USB-C as well, which I think is quite cool. And then obviously USB MIDI, but then the choices of
who's that? Is that you? Who's calling you now?
Okay, go to Yoad. Sorry.
Sorry, yeah. I think Gaz, that's obviously an urgent call. So yeah, this is an interesting instrument because it uses the Future Sound Systems, who are London-based or actually Bristol-based manufacturers. So what Paul's done is he's combined his skill and knowledge, because what he knows how to do is manufacture at scale out of the country. So he's brought this in at a great price, and it looks like it's going to be a really interesting instrument.
Yeah, it sounds really good. It reminds me a little bit. It's like a modern MS-10 or something like that. That's what it kind of. And when you when he showed you the triangle wave and all that, it sounds almost like an SH or something as well in terms
weight.
of the low end. The filter sounds very interesting. Not too keen on the design, but that's a personal taste.
I'm just seeing if I can bring up a picture of it. 1.PWM.
Design of the hardware. I'm not sure. Maybe I don't know. But it and the price he mentioned is sounds like it's a bargain.
Yeah, I think it'll work on battery power as
capabilities.
well, if that's something that you need from your synths. I'm just looking for the actual. I don't think he's got any pictures of it on here. Malevolent. Let's have a look. Gallery. Yes, here we go. There must be a. Yeah, here we go. So if I just bring that up, we can see. Maybe I can make that big.
MIDI, of course.
2 oscillators. Yeah. But each of the shapes is mixable, so you've got sawtooth, triangle, and square with a variable shape on each of them. Obviously, on the square it does PWM. On the triangle it sort of folds a bit, and on the sawtooth, can't remember what it did, but the drive I found really pleasing as well. It can be very aggressive, and I think in many ways, you're right about the sort of MS-20 vibe. But I don't know a Salanke filter. I had to look it up. I didn't know what it was, which makes me feel very uneducated. But it certainly has quite a unique flavour to it. Are you back, Gaz? I can't tell if you are or not. Oh, right. Okay. Excellent.
Yeah. So the underlying synth is a Future Sound Systems synth. Finlay and Jamie are the people who've made the essential synth. So this has been sort of repurposed, if you will, into this new form factor. When the Brunswick came out, it was more of a kind of kit synth.
Is this based on the Brunswick then? I didn't realise that.
Yes, it is. Yes, yes,
okay.
It is. So Future Sound Systems have got a reputation for quite gnarly sounding. They make modules and, of course, famously collaborate with Throbbing Gristle for the Gristleizer.
That's true, yeah.
So I think Malevolent, the name of the synth, kind of gives you some idea of the character, and you really can get it to sound quite gnarly indeed. There's a drive circuit on there as well, and it really is a very pleasing and satisfying synth. The end cheeks are kind of held on magnetically, so you can detach the end cheeks, and then I think it's 19 inches, so you will be able to rack it, if you will, or put it certainly along with a Eurorack sort of rig, which I think would be nice, quite a nice little controller for a Eurorack rig, because there's plenty of patch points on there.
Yeah, I mean, there were some interesting things, because it's got a joystick with a kind of whole unusual use of the joystick. Yeah. So the joystick here, you can use. There's a down. When you go down, it'll hold. It's got an arpeggiator, and it's kind of an interesting. It's got some interesting performative aspects to it.
Yeah, so you can change the mode of the joystick, and then you can sort of do modulations and glides and various things. And one of the things I think Paul was saying is that this is about learning to play it, and to get the most out of it really is to kind of master that joystick, I think. But yeah, it's going to come in at I've heard about a price that you hopefully could come in at, which is amazing. So it's definitely one to keep an eye out for.
I mean, give Behringer a run for their money, as well. They're using the same kind of So it's good.
Yeah, and it's going to be more coming from the brand as well. So
it makes total sense.
Yeah. So
yeah,
good.
That was a good one. Nice choice there, Gaz. I think what I'll do now is just quickly go to our friends over at Modal. Obviously, Modal, this is the Cobalt 8, which I need to update this video because it's an 8-voice extended virtual analog synth, but the innovative oscillator has more than 34 algorithms. I think it's close to 40 now. Beautiful cosmetically as well. Morphable 4-pole ladder filter, 29 endless controllers, encoders for real-time control, internal sequencer and arpeggiator, MPE support for expression, Modal app for Mac, Windows, iOS and Android, VST3 AU. If you want to find out more, head over to bit.ly/ get_modal. We thank them very much for their support. Much appreciated. I think that was a good one as well. I mean, there's definitely more. Any more from you, Yoad? Was there anything else that you saw that was that kind of floated your boat that I may be able to or may not bring the video in?
I mean, the ones we discussed so far are the ones that I've managed to actually watch. So I didn't really have time to do my homework, so I apologize.
That's all right. Well, we must do this then. This is the Dreadbox Nymphes.
Nymphes.
Now, but you've still been making synthesizers, which I have been enjoying, and you have a new one.
Yeah. It's pretty hard times.
I think you play. Let's see if I can.
That's
godlike.
Yep. Yes.
So you've gone for a very own reverb.
Yeah, we made it reverb.
So I won't. You watch the video because there's some really good stuff in there. Actually, the Nymphes, as we suspected, it's a 6-voice analog synthesizer with sub oscillator, single VCO. It's mono, but it's got a built-in reverb. That's the one thing that perhaps people weren't expecting. And now I spoke to Yannis about this, and the issue is if to make it stereo, 6 extra VCAs would just make the cost kind of just way more prohibitive. But it sounded really, really nice, and it's got some really interesting voice modes. So you can turn it into a 3-voice stacked, detuned, so you could double up the oscillators and mess around with the voice modes, and to me it did sound really nice. I didn't get a chance to go. I wanted to go back and do a kind of play with the whole thing and get the get a sound demo myself, but I just couldn't do that. I'm just going to post this in the chat rooms. That's Dreadbox Effects, isn't it? Dreadbox-effects.com. There we go. Except I'll spell it right next time. God, I'm numb. So, Gaz, did you get to play this?
No, I didn't. But I did. I mean, I did check it out, and certainly from the videos. But the thing that was quite interesting to me was how it feels quite related to the Abyss. And there is going to be a follow-up to the Abyss that some people thought was going to be shown at Superbooth, but that's still a way off, I think, from being ready. But the price point on this, I think, is the thing, really, isn't it? This is a fully analog synth coming in under €500, which I think is super cool. But also, following on from their hit in the Typhon, which has been a super hit for them. I think the Nymphes will be a hit for sure. But they are doing this kind of shift functionality. So everything that you see on the control panel.
I must admit, because Yannis was doing that, and even he was getting a little bit confused at times. But maybe he was just a bit nervous. But yeah, there is a bunch of shift functionality, which I'm sure would be quite quick to get used to. But the one thing that was really cool is the way that you can route stuff to the LFOs. You can basically route every parameter of the LFO individually, positively, negatively, monopolar, bipolar. It's really, really quite something. So there's a lot of modulation possibilities with very little sources, but a lot of destinations.
Yeah, no, really cool. And just, I always take a real pleasure in seeing Dreadbox bringing out new things. I think partly because we saw Dreadbox kind of from the beginning, really, on Sonic with the coverage from, I think, was it the 2011 NAMM show where they were showing the Murmuks?
The one that looked like a carpet. Yeah.
Yeah. And just seeing this company develop, it's just been a real thrill, and seeing them, really get it right. I think the Typhon connected with a lot of people, and I know that this one will too. So, yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know whether I'm sure I've waxed lyrical, but did you ever get any Dreadbox stuff, Yoad?
I never did. Every time I hear it, it sounds so good that and if I'm not mistaken, that's their first polyphonic synth.
Proper well, the Abyss was polyphonic,
the Abyss is polyphonic, yeah,
but not quite, yeah.
Or paraphonic, or
no, I think
fully polyphonic.
I think that I'm not sure, to be honest. I thought it was paraphonic, but you've got one, so you would know.
It's fully polyphonic.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
Yeah, no, you can.
Yeah, but I mean, I can't really justify buying a new synth right now, especially when I'm immersed with Dolby Atmos at the moment, just doing mixes and exploring the kind of spheres above, so to speak, which I'm really, really enjoying. And I can't wait to start producing in Dolby Atmos, which I'm working on. I'm working on a template that will allow me to do that, because it's all about having a very kind of serious template, because otherwise, if you want to stop and do the matrix and everything while you go, you won't get too far. But and then producing in surround with synths and stuff like that, that could be really amazing, because all the paradigms that we grew up on in terms of spatial audio, about the relationships between the rear speakers and the front, and the distances and the angles and all that, this whole paradigm is basically changed. And now we can look at the system as a 12 speaker kind of system rather than 2. And it's really great. It's really great, and it sounds amazing. There's so much headroom.
There's got to be a room for a Nymphes in there somewhere, surely.
Exactly. Maybe just from here, and the delay kind of feeding from there. You know, it's like it's a playground. It's a playground, and it's great. I'm really enjoying it.
Here's a question about that then, Yoad. So if you were to have a stereo synthesizer, and then that you then bring into a Dolby Atmos production, how do you orient where the left and right is? I mean, is it maybe better to have a monophonic source and then that you use the Dolby Atmos processing for spatial?
Well, I think it's heavily depends on what type of stereo. If we're talking about Dave Smith sort of stereo, when you actually split the voices played, so you have different information playing in each channel, that's one thing. If you're talking about the Roland kind of way, which is having a monosynth and then having albeit a great chorus on it, that would be more problematic, because the more correlated your channels are, the more problems you're going to have with sweet spot. So you want your sources to be as decorrelated as possible coming out of different speakers. So the one thing you don't want to do is have a mono synth and pan it like somewhere here. So it's like playing on this speaker, on this speaker, on this speaker, and a little bit on this speaker, because then you can, when you move your head, you can hear the phasing and the comb filters kind of happening acoustically in the room. You know what I mean? Okay. So you want the sound to be decorrelated, such as going through an all-pass kind of diffusion engine or anything like that. The chorus won't really cut it. But like I said, the polyphonic split, which you can do with a lot of synths, with some synths, is perfect for that, because you can play a pad and you can have, I don't know, the left hand, it's not even the left hand, but some of the voices coming from the front top, and some from the front back, so you really feel kind of engulfed in the sound.
Actually, that will probably lead us on and really kind of in a nice kind of sequitur there to the UDO Super 6 module, because that works with the binaural processing. So I'm imagining that would be the Super 6 would be a good one for what you're saying there, Yoad. Do you know that one from UDO?
Yes, I saw your video on it, which was good, and it sounds great. Again, something that I would like to add to my list. But binaural is not something that you want to do in an environment like that, because it's made for headphones. So you have the HRTF filters and stuff. So it wouldn't work it will work on a 2.0 or 2.1 system, but on a surround system, it's not the first thing I would think of. But again, splitting the voices.
Yeah. Well, you've got a button on the Super 6, the binaural button. So if you turn that off, then every note that you play, the first one will come out of the one channel, and then the next note will come out of the second channel, and then
that would work. Okay, yeah, that sounds like from what you were saying.
Absolutely, and what you can play with, if you have, let's say, you have a pad of 4 voices or 5 voices or something like that, you can mute a few of them. Use this function. By the way, I don't really understand why they call it binaural, because I guess because binaural refers to headphones decoding for ambisonics or Dolby Atmos or any surround. But anyway, let's not get into that. But what you could do is play, let's say, 3 out of your 6 or 5 voices, record it once, and then play the rest and record it again. So you have 2 stereo stems, and then you have kind of more, and then you can send 2 to the front and 2 to the back, or 2 to the back top,
right? And
then you can really have your voices kind of surrounding you.
Interesting.
And with a bit of a proper 360 reverb or something to get them all kind of, mixed together.
I feel we're going to have a whole thing on ambisonics and Atmos, just in terms of the effects and things. We need to cover this in greater depth. I mean, we should probably return to Superbooth just for now, because there are still a couple of things.
Sorry for hijacking
that's absolutely
show, but
fine.
I'm just so excited about this.
Let me find there's also this really big piece of news which I should probably play now. So this is, if I've got the right video, this is the TipTop Buchla. The TipTop Buchla System 200. So basically they're making all the components of a Buchla 200 system, which up to now is, they're very rare.
Hi Ed, hi Sonicstate. We're here at Superbooth 2021. It's not a normal Superbooth as we used to have in the past, but we managed to make it here, and we had 2 years to sit down and make something really amazing, and we've been working in the dark on something special, and I'm going to present it to you today. And that is our collaboration with Buchla to recreate Don Buchla's 1970s 200 series.
Right, I'll leave it there because there's quite a lot of explanation, and it's a really big deal because it's done in collaboration with, and these modules are going to be, the oscillator is going to be between, now if I wrote it down somewhere,
less than €200, isn't it?
$160. Yeah. So there's quite, this is a big deal. So I guess for a full 200E system, you're probably, I don't know what it would be, a couple of grand, maybe a bit more. But I mean, when you consider you're talking 20, really, realistically, for the original thing, of which there are very few left in the world. There aren't actually that many. So this is kind of a big deal for those who are into that whole kind of Buchla vibe. I mean, I still don't understand. I mean, I was having a conversation with various, because it's one. I was talking with Daniel Miller actually, and he was saying, he was saying I hesitate to get into the world of Buchla because it feels like I have to learn a whole new instrument, because not only have I got different control voltages, different scalings, the whole paradigm is very different, and it's like learning a completely new technology. And I totally get what he means. But this is big news, wasn't it? A lot of people are very excited about this.
Yeah. And I mean, a lot of the demos that I was hearing coming from it sounded typically gurgly, burbly Buchla stuff. So I'm kind of always wondering, I've always wondered with Buchla, I've never really, and please, I need to be pointed in the right direction, I've never really heard
Alessandro Cortini.
Is he the one?
Yeah. And others, Suzanne Ciani, there are others.
I do love the sound of it, but I always wonder when people play it if there is something about the way that it works that just does lead you to that kind of gurgly, burbly, bubbly stuff.
Yeah.
That it seems just, which again, it's a very nice sound. I love it, but it is really cool that TipTop have done this though. And TipTop have just, I think they're one of those really interesting companies who are very, very forward thinking. Of course, they not only were they launching that at Superbooth, they also launched a couple of modules that are continual. That's
the new effects, yeah.
Yeah,
the
yeah.
effects,
I've got
one
from the from the same range. I've got the Z-Verb module.
That sounds great, doesn't it?
Sounds absolutely fantastic. So they're doing now a like a distortion drive one and a modulation one as well. So in that range, so that means there's 5 now. There's the reverb one, there's the multi-effects one, the delay, the distortion one, and the mod. And one of the things that's really cool about those particular modules is that you've got a fidelity control which controls the CPU clock of the effect, and all of them have got. That's one thing all of them have got, and like when you're using it on a reverb, I mean, I've been using it, maybe overusing this effect, and just you just turn the clock speed down of the reverb. It's such an amazing effect. But anyway, yes. But so good show from TipTop. But but that Buchla, I think, taking elements of a Buchla system, maybe just the oscillator, for instance, and integrating it into your existing rack could be quite interesting. It's something I definitely want to have a look at. But yeah, it's still very confusing to me. I want to say Tom, hi Tom, in the chat room from Synth Anatomy said that they're apparently volt octave on those ones, and I think, but yes, the sort of if you're going easel, because they've also announced, Buchla themselves announced a new, more affordable, slightly larger, more functional music easel, so that's something to look out for as well. TipTop, I'm just going to post this in the show notes because I didn't get the link in time. I don't know. I know Yoad, you don't really have that much time for Buchla in your workflow, but this is yeah. Oh right, okay.
because when the sound is amazing. I like the concept of the filter gate and all that. That it's that you can do so much stuff with, rather than setting up cutoff and filter and an envelope and a trigger for the envelope. You can do all these things very easily with like a couple of knobs. So it's kind of the concept is really clever, and the sound is always great. I have to say that the TipTop system looks very authentic. So if you buy the whole thing.
They're not bananas, by the way. There was some, but what they've done is
because you want to still be able to be compatible with other Eurorack modules.
But what they've done is they've put the little collars around the
so it looks
3.5,
like
which is a really nice touch, actually.
Nice touch.
Yeah, nice.
Really
touch,
cool. Very nice.
Yeah, so but again, these probably won't be happening for a little. I think they said, actually, hold on. I think they said that what was it? It was Christmas for the first 2 modules, which were going to be the oscillator and the quad function generator. So they're starting up. They were hoping to have the whole range ready to go as a system, but components. We've talked about that before. It's just it's the thing.
So do you have? I would definitely go for the white. For the white option, because I see everything comes in two options, in two colors.
I didn't see that. Okay, I'm just looking for it because it's sliding past. It's on a slider. Let me see if I can. So TipTop Audio. If we go there and if I click on the Eurorack 200 series, then let's see. So there's not much. It's just a sort of holding page for the time being. So I'm not sure about that. I think the effects come in different colours. That's for sure.
White and black.
The white and black. I think that's right. But I don't think the Eurorack ones will because that's going to be too far away.
That's not going to look like a Buchla. Yeah.
No, it wouldn't. What now? Is there anything else? I wanted also to give a shout out for the Doepfer frequency shifter. Now, that I've got the video here, but I don't think. Let me see. Did I actually Doepfer number 8? I think this is the last video. I spoke to her, Doepfer.
And if you play with the tritonum, it's like that. And now you can.
Now it does sound quite experimental, but he put some other stuff through it, and honestly, the subharmonics and the intro, it was a really interesting sound.
You have a control which is used to adjust the output between Let's turn
Let me see if I can find put some samples.
show you the
Ich bin der Musikant mit Taschenrechner in der Hand. Ich bin der Musikant mit Taschenrechner in der Hand. Ich bin der Musikant mit Taschenrechner in der Hand. Ich bin der Musikant mit Taschenrechner in der Hand. Ich bin der
It's almost like subharmonic generator, isn't it? Honestly, it's probably not coming across all that well, but the flexibility of this thing, it's the Doepfer frequency shifter 1-126-2. You know, his classic naming convention that makes it really hard. But it's going to be about €350. But it sounded amazing. It really did sound good, and I would heartily recommend that you should check it out. I was going to also find it. The other thing that's worth mentioning is and this came in. I think I mentioned it in the live stream, and somebody said that in the chat. I remember seeing it go past that. Not only is it kind of quite vintage electronics. But hold on, it kind of, his website is also vintage as well, which if we look at it, it's literally, the Doepfer homepage is just the beginning of the internet still. It's fabulous. Yeah. It's just, and I quite like that. I like the fact that it's just,
The manuals are like sort of technical sheets and stuff as well.
Yeah. But Mr. Doepfer said to me, you know, that he'd had the best year ever, and he's been going since the beginning of Eurorack. And he said last year was the best year for business ever, and he said that, you know, it's astonishing. Again, we spoke about this at the beginning of the program. Really nice thing that though, because it does so many different things. I didn't fully understand it because you need, now I can't remember you need a specific kind of oscillator, I can't remember what it was now that he said it was. A quad something or other. Quad random. Yeah, I've forgotten. Really nice though, I have to say. And yeah, just good for processing, all sorts of things. That's something that you should probably just put in your rack and use it for a send effect, because it's just amazing, Yoad. I really recommend that.
I'll look into it.
Let me see if I can find the link to the actual link to. Oh, it doesn't. It's in frames as well. It's so old. It's in frames, so I can't actually even post the link because it doesn't appear as a link. I have to do this, copy link address, and let's see if I can make it actually post. Okay, there we go. There's the actual. Right, brilliant. I got it. I wonder if it'll that show. Yeah, there we go. It shows up in the chat. I wanted to throw that in there because, you know, that's where it all started. He's, you know, the godfather of, and he's finally starting to use that as a little bit of a thing. You know, saying, you know, yeah, okay, I'll take that, and using it in his marketing and his taglines, which is great because he's such a sort of unassuming guy, and I'm sure he doesn't want to big himself up, but really good. Is there anything else? Because we got to 5 o'clock. I mean, we could go on for hours easily with this.
There is two things. I mentioned earlier that Super 6 they've released their module. And there was just one thing I wanted to mention about that, which I think is super smart, and I'd like to see other people do it, is that they put VESA mounts on the back of that module. Now, it's a very simple thing to do, but it's just a standard VESA mount. So is it VESA or VESA or however you say it?
VESA.
VESA mount. So there's so many cheap options for mounting monitor stands there. I thought that was stroke of genius, and I'd like to see other.
Yeah, that was very clever.
Yeah.
And just put it on a monitor stand. You can get the gas on monitor stands, and then you got the whole. You can move the whole. Brilliant.
And just a really, really nice industrial design, I thought.
As ever with his stuff, and a great demo. I heartily recommend that you check it out. It's a fantastic demo. I'll post the link. Let me just post the link to all the stories in the show notes quickly. Go, Gaz.
I'm wearing a Yuhi Civilization t-shirt. Now, the Civilization module is one of my absolute favorite modules that I've got now. It's the centerpiece of my Eurorack adventure. People who've been following my show may know that. But Yuhi also had another module, which would be their second hardware product, which is called the Wiretap.
Yes.
And that was quite interesting. That was there's a way of like deriving rhythms from your melodies. So there's like comparator circuits in there or whatever. If the notes go up, it's the up output will send a trigger signal. If the melody goes down, the down one will, or if it's the same. Your melodies can be feeding a whole load of percussion modules, and I thought that sounded great. You know, you can get really interesting. So as you play and manipulate your melodies, the rhythms move in tandem with it too. Thought that was very clever.
I'm just going to post the link to the playlist because not all of the videos got stories on Sonicstate. So if you want to see all of them, go to the link that I've just posted. That'll give you everything. Sorry to interrupt you there, Gaz. Yeah,
no, it's fine.
And thanks to Wagyu for a great little. We probably spent that on the fund. We spent the fund on. We found a really nice Italian restaurant, which when you go to a show, you find a good restaurant. Well, I say really nice. It was just round the corner from the hotel. It's like when you find somewhere to eat at a show, you just go every night because you can't waste time looking for somewhere else every night. It takes hours. So you just go, we go there. It's fine. We haven't gone through the menu, so we're only there for 3 nights. So that's what we did. Big shout out for the, I think it was Trattoria Bruschetta, which is right next to the Ostbahnhof in Berlin. Absolutely brilliant. So anyway, sorry, that's not very. It's a bit inside. You're right though, Gaz. Yeah, I mean I forgot what you said. Yes, the wiretap. I did a piece with Sebastian. And there's also a great interview with I did with Urs about M1 and the More Feedback Machine 2 and stuff. He's a really smart guy, actually. Really interesting fellow.
Yeah. I'm just having a little look through the thing. It was nice to see the Vermona DRM DRM1 Mark IV, although that wasn't I think it was already announced, I think, before Superbooth, but the AudioWerkStatt was quite interesting. It was a little video I shot with these different MIDI modules that can do all sorts of clever little timing tricks. So if you use a lot of MIDI in like live performances, it's just really good little, all sorts of interest. I mean, there's quite a
that guy, yeah,
baffling range. Yeah, of cool little timing things, but so you can do timing, divide or multiply the MIDI clock on one of the boxes. So, which is you get that sort of stuff with gates in Eurorack, but being able to do it with MIDI, I think, is pretty cool. But of course, how can we not talk about the RetroKits RK8?
Yes, I have. Okay, well, I'll make an exception here because I know we're going to run over a little bit. Let me see. I've got that on a button. I can press the button, and there it is. Yeah, this is basically the. It's like a reimagination of the MMT, the Alesis MMT8, which a lot of people swear by. It's got 8 tracks. Each of the tracks can have an entire MIDI file, so you could have. And tempo. You could have 8 completely different tracks. You can merge. It's a really nice thing. I'm going to go to it there.
Last year was the year of the 6.
And it looks like a calculator, which is super cool.
Like online, but now we
still some way off though, Gaz. Unfortunately, it's going to be probably next year.
Still a way off. Yeah. Did you notice though? It's got a little speaker in there, so you can have the metronome coming out of a speaker, so you don't have to have it. I think that's so cool. You can have the metronome over MIDI as well, but being able to just have an actual physical speaker making a click, I think is.
There was some question because I kept asking what is the resolution, and he said it was 96 ppqn, which I thought was quite low because he was saying it's the same resolution as MIDI files, and I thought MIDI files could go up higher. Perhaps you'll know about that. I thought because like sequencers run at 192 sometimes, or 300,
1536.
That's what Logic
1536, yeah.
PPQN, right? So I don't know if that was strictly what the resolution he was talking about, or whether it was higher. So I'd like to get some clarification.
It may have to do with being compatible with clock and being able to manipulate the clock and speeding it up or something within the range of. Or something like that. I don't know, but yeah, certainly it can go. But to be honest, when you use MIDI files and things like that, you probably quantize it anyway, so it won't make such a big difference.
Yeah, I just want to, because a question came in via the chat room, which was, Mac, were you happy with the Røde Wireless mics, V1 or 2? Because previous years we've used these over-the-ear cardioid, because in a place like NAMM it's just really, really loud, and we didn't feel that we could do that and fiddle around with people's faces, particularly in COVID. So we used the Røde, I forgot what it's called, the little clip-on things. I had a Mark 1 and Andy had a Mark 2 with 2, and I have to say they were brilliant. I mean, I don't want everybody to use them, because if we're in a room full of people using them, we'll struggle to find the channels in the future. But very, very good, actually. Really impressive sound, and really the ability to focus narrowly. So I don't know what they've got going on in there, but some clever business. So that, you know, the spoken word quality was great. I'm going to get one, because I would use that for my presenter mic in the future, rather than, you know, the rubbishy dynamic one that's just still not very good. But yes, I just wanted to answer that question.
And Andy had that peculiar thing as well. I don't know if you had one as well. You unscrewed the lid and you put the microphones in.
Oh, yeah. The mics. I mentioned that in the show before. I'll tell you what happened. Funny stuff, because these things so you unscrew them and it's got ozone and UVC or something, and an item, and you put your mic in, you turn it on, and it sanitizes it. Literally, my first appointment, I unscrewed it, dropped the lid, and it broke. So it just the element, the light element, smashed, which is a really bad design flaw. So we're going to send it back, because that's just like appalling. I mean, it's still got the ozone stuff, but yeah, mine broke immediately. But Ed and Andy's. So if you're interviewed by me and you got sick, it wasn't my fault. You can blame them, but I'm pretty sure you won't, because I didn't get sick. So, but yeah, it was rubbish for me. Gosh, I think we might be at a time, you know, that just suffice to say, there's a ton of stuff on YouTube. We've still got 5 or 6 videos to go up, so we're going to be around about the 72, 73 mark by the time we finish.
Wow.
But I want to say again, thank you to our team. Thank you, Gaz, for being a game and doing some of the videos with us. Also, Rob Hicks, Ed Butterworth, and Andy, the team, you know, and also all the people at Superbooth for having the foresight and the kind of perseverance to pull it off. You know, they're planning another one in May. I really hope it works out, and, you know, brilliant. And thanks again to all of the sponsors who helped support and made it possible for us to go. That's Bitwig, Baby Audio, Studio Logic, and all the other little manufacturers who got kind of extra little video packages and whatnot. Thank you. It was really, I hope it all worked out for you. But Gaz, nice to see you. I hope you get over your cold soon. You seem okay. You seem quite chipper. Although I don't know how many times you've sneezed, because you've got a sneeze button, so it may be.
I have. No, yeah, I think I'm on the mend. I got to. I'm actually really chuffed today. I've just landed a music job, 19-date tour with a really great artist around big venues in the UK. Yes, this year.
Oh, excellent! I'm glad
on
to
the
hear
bass.
that.
So I'll talk more about that once it's a little bit more finalised. But
great, good. Yeah, well, good for you.
So yeah, thank you. Yeah.
And Yoad, thank you very much for joining us too. Glad to see you're chipper yourself, and you've obviously got loads of work to catch up with, so I'm sure you're very busy, but I hope it's all fun stuff.
Thank you. Always good to be here.
Right, well, I think we will. I've still got my 4-up shot, haven't I? Yes, I have. So at this point, I will say goodbye. Don't forget, if you did join Patreon while we were on, your name, and you joined the upper tier, your name should appear at the end. And thanks again to all our Patreon supporters. We've got so much more planned for that particular resource. So yeah, thank you to all of our supporters. That's it for this time. We will see you all next week when we do another Sonic Talk. But that's it. Over for now. See you later.